Please do this with me. Rewrite this equation in vertex form. So I'm going to start by adding 8 to the opposite side. And then what's different about this problem compared to the problems before is the leading coefficient is not a 1. So I need to factor out this 9. And there's confusion in previous classes of knowing how do I know what goes inside. You start at the top and you divide downwards. 9 divided by 9 is a 1. Bring down the x squared. Negative 6 divided by 9, and I'm going to come back and reduce that fraction in just a second. Six divided by 9 reduces to 2/3. Now I'm only working with this inside parenthesis. So I'm going to identify the b, and I'm going to take b, and I'm going to divide b by 2. Now let's not make this too difficult for ourselves. Grab a calculator and type in negative 2/3 divided by 2. Negative 2/3 divided by 2, and I'm going to put it back into a fraction afterwards by hitting math, fraction, enter, enter, is negative 1/3. And it's important that we identify that, and I'm going to do that with a little bubble because we're going to come back to that shortly. Now in this position I need to square this. I don't have to do that with the calculator. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, and 3 times 3 is 9. I did not just add 9 to this side. In fact, I have to take 9 times 1/9. 9 times 1/9, the 9's cancel, really they turn into 1s, and you get an answer of 1. So in fact, I just added 1 to the right. To keep the equation balanced, I must add 1 to the left. On the left-hand side, I have y plus 9. On the right, I have 9 times the quantity. Now inside here is what I'm going to come back to what's in the bubble. It's x subtract 1/3. How do I know it's subtraction? This symbol determines what symbol's inside, and I have 1/3 after I divided b by 2. I'm going to move this 9 from the left back to the right. When it goes across the equal sign, it changes signs. This is in vertex form. If you were asked to identify the vertex, it would be positive 1/3 and negative 9. If you were asked to identify the y-intercept, it would be 0, negative 8. Okay, so let's graph those. Just so we have a rough idea of this. Let's go over to 1/3, just approximation, and down 9. Here's my y-intercept down here, and here's my vertex. I know that this parabola is opening upward because the leading coefficient is positive. Part B, I feel like this is a great example of what you need to do when you come to a test. Some people just naturally have better multiplication skills than others. So on your own, you're going to use that calculator and you're going to start trying to come up with, please don't say the answers out loud, don't share them with your partner because I want to make this realistic to a test. 9 times negative 8, and let's split this in half, please. You're going to split this in half. 9 times negative 8 is negative 72. I want you to come up with two numbers that multiply to give you negative 72 and combine to give you a positive 6. See if you can do it in 1 minute using a calculator. Go ahead. On your own, please. In the past, students have become confused. How do I do this? 1 and 72 do not somehow combine to give you negative 6. 2 and 36 do not. 3 and 24 do not. 4 and 18, we're getting closer, but 4 and 18, there's not a difference of 6. 5 does not nicely divide into 72. 6 divides into 72 12 times, and there's our combination. These two can multiply to give you a negative 72. And if the 12 is negative and the 6 is positive, we hit our combination. Multiplies and combines. Now, how do I write this in intercept, also known as factored form? So it's y equals x minus 12 and x plus 6. Then since the leading coefficient is different than a 1, we have to do a 9 underneath each term. Then I'm going to reduce those fractions if possible. So divide by 3 and divide by 3. And now I do bottoms up. 3x minus 4 and 3x plus 2. So what are the x-intercepts? That's the nice point of having something in factored form, intercept form. You can easily identify the x-intercepts. One x-intercept is positive 4/3 and one is negative 2/3. So please take 4 divided by 3 on your calculator. 4 divided by 3 is approximately 1.3, correct? So I'm going to go, because it's opposite, I'm going to go to positive 1.3 and identify it as an x-intercept. And I'm going to go to negative 2/3, which is about 0.6, negative 0.6, and identify it as an x-intercept. We can see this parabola is really skinny, and that's because it's being stretched by a factor of 9. Okay, so there has to be a lot of people that it comes time for the test and you feel some anxiety because you're trying to work as fast as possible, and you're like, I know how to factor, but under time constraints, like I feel pressure and I don't always do well with it. So remember, your backup plan that always works is to follow this. Please do this with me. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Even if you're like, I get this one, let's practice an alternative way. So I'm going to plug in a negative b. So it was a negative 6. When I plug it into this, it becomes a positive 6 because negative 6 becomes positive 6. Plus or minus negative 6 squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is the discriminant. We're going to figure that out on the calculator without doing it by hand. So I'm going to do the discriminant. So in parentheses, negative 6 squared, the negative 6 must go in parentheses, minus 4 times 9 times negative 8. And the answer is 324. So x equals 6 plus or minus the square root of 324 all over 18. Well, the square root of 324 is 18. So I have 6 plus 18 over 18, and 6 minus 18 over 18. So let's get our two answers right now. I'm going to do those over here. 6 plus 18, so here we go. 6 plus 18. I better put in parentheses. 6 plus 18, and then I'm going to divide it by 18. That's this first time, and I'm adding. When I get an answer, I'm going to put it back into a fraction. So one answer is 4/3. Now I'm going to subtract. 6 subtract 18, I've got to put in parentheses. Divided by 18. And again, put it back into a fraction. These are the two x-intercepts. They're the exact same intercepts we found by looking at it in this form. How do I go from quadratic equation to putting it back into factored form? It's y equals, and then I'm going to do this one first. X, it's opposite sign. X subtract 4/3, opposite sign, x plus 2/3, and now push up to bottoms up. 3x plus 4 and 3x plus 2. And over here, did I make a mistake? A second here. That's right, that's right. That's right. What did I do over here? 3x plus 2. Oh, I just see the subtraction sign here. I just forgot to write the subtraction sign again. Exact same answer, two different ways of doing it. Okay, so exact same answer, two different methods to achieve the same answer. Now when we look here, let's now go on to what is the domain and the range. With all quadratic functions, the domain is negative infinity to positive. The range in this case, the lowest point goes down as low as -9. It's included in the function, and there's no limit how high it goes. The end behavior, as you go to the left, it's going up, and as you go to the far right, it's also headed upward.